Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. I'm your host Ashwin. I'm joined by Varun. Gosh, it's an awkward time of day for us to have DJ joining us. It's just the two of us. But Varun, the IPL 2023 has come to a close with a second team to be crowned five-time champions, and of course, that is MS Dhoni's Chennai Super Kings. How are you feeling, Varun? It's a couple of days later. It's been crazy. The rain delayed. The match happened on a Monday. It's got to sort of throw our recording schedule all out of whack, right?
Yeah, it has, and the rain didn't help because it's very late my time. So I actually took the opportunity to sleep on Sunday when I saw the visuals of that rain. But man, the last 2 days I have just spent on Instagram and Twitter just watching MS Dhoni again and again and again. It is incredible. We're gonna get all into it, but yeah, 8 weeks almost. I think the IPL was this time. It feels like it's the longest
So
IPL, but
let me
also
ask
the
you the
most
all
fun.
important question. What have you been doing with your life for the last 36 hours?
I mean, I slept early, man. Like yesterday, my wife and I started watching a show, and I got through 20 minutes and slept. And while I was sleeping, I was like, "You finish it, I'll wake up in the morning and watch it." And this is coming off the back of 8 weeks of me sleeping at 2 a.m.
Yeah, you
So
never fall asleep during a game, but during 20 minutes into a show. That's great.
yeah, yeah,
Hashtag priorities, as they call it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a whirlwind week, man. Since we last recorded, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on it because it feels like ancient history. But Mumbai obviously beat Lucknow in the eliminator, and then faced Gujarat in that second qualifier. And I guess CSK qualified first, beat Gujarat. Then Mumbai, which is what I think we predicted, DJ and I. Then Mumbai beat Lucknow. Then Gujarat beat Mumbai. So you're setting up a CSK Gujarat final. Sunday, the final almost started. Rain delay didn't happen, etc. Monday, all day was clear at Ahmedabad. Like beautiful like cloud-free skies, really nice. And obviously the broadcast time was 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time or 7:30, and so they didn't start the game till then. And then of course they've got a first innings rain, 15 overs to chase it down. So let's just talk about the final, Varun, and then we'll talk a little bit about. And so if you're just joining us, this is the third or fourth, maybe fourth year, third or fourth year, whatever it is, of us doing the second half of the show. We're going to do something interesting, right? A lot of teams talk about the best of the IPL, the hits, the best players. We're going to spend the second half talking about something a little more interesting. So stay tuned. But Varun, why don't you run us down the final really quick if you have the scorecard open and remember it? I mean, Gujarat batted first, and yeah, talk us through it.
Yeah, Gujarat batted first. I was convinced, like I was sending out messages saying Deepak Chahar is going to get Shubman Gill in like by the time the 3 or 4 overs is done, and it didn't happen, right? Like you had Saha, who I think has just got this knack of big games and just plays aggressive and goes out. He got to 54. Shubman got to 39, and Shubman was dropped by Deepak Chahar in the
Twice,
second. Oh, by
twice by
twice.
Deepak. Well, once was off his own bowling, but yeah, twice by Deepak.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, it is insane that in a final you can't drop Shubman Gill approaching 900 runs this IPL, the kind of form he's in. And I thought that drop was the match because after that Shubman Gill just timed the ball beautifully. Like he hit 3 or 4 boundaries after that that were just excellent. But the only way he could get out was to a magnificent stumping by MS Dhoni. Oh my God, roll back the clock. Ravindra Jadeja bowling, moving it just a little bit. Shubman Gill outside the crease by just a little bit. And Dhoni took off the bail so fast that I'm pretty sure most people in the stadium thought it's bold. And most people watching on TV was like, what the hell just happened? And when they played it back, yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, when they played it back, it showed zero point 0.1 seconds. And Harsha Bhogle actually said, we should look at the calibrations because I think that is the minimum
Yeah,
that the meter or the clock or the meter shows. So it could have been less than zero point 0.1 second.
man. I think the thing with that was it just as I was rewatching the replays, what Shubman Gill did, as it's pretty standard against a bowler taking the ball away from you. You stretch to get to your front foot to the pitch of the ball. You lean out. Shubman got his back toe, back into the crease faster than I think most batters ever do. And I think you want to say 9 out of 10 times, maybe more. he got back fast enough that he would have made it just over the line by the time a keeper gathers the ball with a little bit of backward momentum and then clicks it forward. Dhoni just seemed to know, and this is the magic of his keeping. He just seemed to know that the ball was this exactly what's gonna happen, and so you could see he was almost starting to move forward, but without crossing the line of the stumps because that's illegal, and it just started to move forward. It was 0.1 seconds is nothing. I mean, that reaction time was
Yeah.
I can gush
And I
forever.
would love, I mean, you only see it when it gets out, but I wonder what it looks like when they they either hit the ball or they miss it, but they're in the crease. Like it can't like it. I don't know. Dhoni can't be doing that just on that wicket ball, right? This has to be something a keeper like Dhoni does for 120 balls. Just that kind of thinking
Just
and
assuming that it's gonna, if it misses, I'm there, I'm ready. That
yeah,
focus, right? Yeah.
yeah. And Stephen Fleming said this. He said Dhoni has not been practicing keeping throughout the tournament, and that it's very unconventional and this is pure skill and talent. And he said that he held a coaching session with Devon Conway, which comma an international keeper. This is exactly what Fleming said. And he said that session was so comical that I think couldn't go ahead because of how untraditional. Like just imagine
Okay.
Devon Conway is a wicket keeper and he goes to Dhoni and Dhoni tells him this is how to do it. It's just unbelievable.
It's incredible. I mean, I think we had a common thing: fastest hands in the world. No other keeper could have pulled that something off. And you have a guy who's made 3 centuries in the prior 4 innings. I don't know if that's ever happened in IPL before. I think the Virat 973 run season, maybe it did, but yeah, I mean, just the impact of that stumping was unreal. But Varun, talk to us about excuse me,
Uh,
talk to us about what happened next.
Yeah, so there was a quote I read also that said, "Come for Shubman Gill, stay for Sai Sudarshan." And boy, did he turn it on! Now remember, if my memory serves me right, this guy was playing pretty decently in their previous match against Mumbai Indians, where he actually hit 43 of 31, strike rate of 140. They ended up at 233. Gujarat Titans made him retire out.
Yeah.
Imagine what a hit to him that must have been. That
I mean,
I have not played badly.
let's take one step back. He only played 8 matches this season. So if I remember
Yeah,
correctly, for Gujarat, he started pretty well. He had a couple good matches. I think that first match of the season actually was Gujarat versus CSK, and he made like 20 odd runs, and he made a 50 after that. Like, he didn't have a bad start, but obviously not good enough for the champion side or the last year's champion side. But yeah, even getting dropped
yeah,
after an
he
early
did.
start.
Yeah, he did well last year. Then you were just stuck, right? Because Vijay Shankar was batting so well. Hardik Pandya is batting up the
Mm.
order, and this guy clearly is a number 3. So it was just an interesting thing. But man, he just smacked it like 96 runs. He like killed Tushar Deshpande in 1 over.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you thought this was it because from 200, 202, suddenly it looked like a 220 kind of a target. And man, in a final, I'm sorry to say this, but I don't think teams are making 220 chasing in a final. So they did that. 96, unfortunately, got out to Patrana. Hardik Pandya contributed 20 of 12, I think probably one of his better performances this season. And so they get to 214 in 20 overs. And you're going to take that any day. I mean, if I was in the Gujarat dugout at that point, I am not saying that CSK can't make 200, 205, 210, but you always felt you're going to be close. By 5 runs, you've made enough. And yeah, and then Ashwin, it just started raining, right?
Yeah, they played 2 or 3 balls, I think, and the rain came down. And that's when we lost a couple of hours. Everybody's, you're seeing these great clips emerge. I had a commitment in that afternoon, so I ended up watching the last bit of it on my phone. You've seen these great clips of people, including former cricketer. I think there was in Ireland. The Irish cricketers were watching it in a little grocery store in London because, nobody had planned to be, in your case, 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. Or wait, by the time it finished, it was almost 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Right, in Singapore, like everybody's schedules went out the window. But we did get a 15 over chase, right? And so out come the also reliable openers have a magnificent power play. Ruturaj and Conway looked really good before. I think they perished in the same over, right, to Noor, 3 balls apart. So suddenly you go from magnificent power play over 60 runs in the power play, and then 74 for 1, 78 for 2 by 7 overs. Varun, Shivam Dubey at 3, Rahane at 4, Rayudu at 5. Is that what, on paper, and I say this only to give full credit, but on paper, you're chasing 200 plus, or call it 170 and 15 overs. Is that the 3-4-5 you want to have ready to chase more than 10 runs and over?
So just you should come back to this 3-4-5 because we should talk about it after when after CSK's won and how they
Yeah,
won it with this 3-4-5. But
yeah,
this is the classic example of not a single 50 being scored, yet everybody going above 150.
yeah,
Every
yeah,
single person
yeah.
going above 150. I can see there's one comment by the
Except one
cricket
person who
by
didn't go.
the cricket podcast and saying why is everyone pretending that Dhoni getting out for zero wasn't extremely funny. Man, even if Dhoni was -5 because the ball hit the helmet and he contributed negatively, it still wouldn't have been funny. So it's okay. I think I think yeah, the stranger things have happened, but it is it is amazing to me that Ajinkya Rahane and Ambati Rayudu can go at that pace. Um, and they changed the game, man. And special call out to Raidu. We've always said this, right? 20 of 7 balls or 30 of 12 balls is much more valuable than 50 of 45. And this just proves it. There is nothing more to say. They got it within striking distance. Yes, Dhoni got out. It was unfortunate. It would have been so magical to see him hit the winning runs in the final, but he got out. And who came in next? His trusted lieutenant, right? His Ravindra Jadeja, Chinnathala, the new Chinnathala.
The new Chinnathala. What's the third tier? You had Raida as Chinna. Is there, if for our Tamil speaking fans, if there's a third word we should come up with for the littlest brother? But anyway, keep going.
Yeah, and he comes in and I don't know, man. Like Mohit Sharma has been tonked by Raidu in the previous over. The equation, I think, is like 13 or 14 required of the last over. 13 required. First ball dot to Shubham Dubey Yorker. Second ball single Yorker. Third ball single Yorker. Fourth ball single Yorker. It's 10 of 2.
Let
And,
me ask you a quick question there.
yeah.
He's bowled 4 Yorkers, right? At that point, why does Hardik, and a drink comes out, Hardik talks to him. There's a long gap. Why? Don't you think to an extent the momentum a bowler has, like Hardik should have been ready, pushing his bowler. Now it's easy in hindsight to say, right? But after you bowl 4 dot balls, all the pressure's on the batting team, or whatever, Yorker, dot ball, single, single, single. All the pressures on the batting team. Shouldn't they have just tried to rush it and go? I mean, you and I play tennis, right? When you're on a roll, when you're 40 love, you just walk to the serving line and you're ready to serve it again. The other guy is the one who's saying, "Give me a couple of seconds, give me some time." So yeah, what happened there?
I don't know, man. It was very confusing. I don't know if he was trying to give Mohit Sharma a break because he was tired. I don't know if he was trying to confuse Jadeja by changing the feel or something, but it made no sense. You're right. When you have the momentum, you you need to keep going. It's like that Rovman Powell thing last year with Pant, where Pant was just confidently telling him to come off the field
Like, what is
after this guy
happening? What are
three
you
sixes,
doing?
right? And I mean, I think that's a big reason for this no ball rule or review that has come in as well. But you just killed the momentum, right? This guy who would have probably hit another 2 6s at least has now had to take a single or something or gotten out. So it's
Yeah.
the same thing that happened there. You've let Jadeja gather his thoughts. Um, Mohit Sharma actually could only bowl worse like equal or worse, right?
Yeah,
There
yeah,
was no bowling better. So I think that was a mistake, and I think Hardik will realize that for the future. But just as Mohit Sharma comes in to bowl that fifth ball, you can see Jadeja bend, right? Squatting a little bit to try and get under the ball and donks it straight. Mind you, it wasn't a great hit, but it was enough for 6. And so the equation then comes down to 4 of 1 ball, where you have people in the stand crying and praying, and then you've got the entire dugout nervous, and then you've got Mahendra Singh Dhoni, who has just been there with his eyes closed. And I know Sudeep is asking, was he sleeping on the final ball? I mean, I can be rest assured he was not sleeping. But oh my god, he was just like I think he was gearing himself up for heartbreak because they've lost a final on the last ball before. Stephen Fleming was gearing up for that heartbreak, and Mohit Sharma strays just that much, just that much, and it goes between short fine leg and the keeper, and Jaddu then goes running off. So I'm going to pause there before we talk about the celebrations and what follows. And
Yeah, and so can I call out something that I thought was interesting, right, about Mohit specifically? I have to give him credit. He didn't play the full quota of games. He played 14 out of Gujarat's 17 eventual games. DJ and I talked a little bit about how I've never seen before the top two be purple cap holders both be from the same team and both be quite a distance ahead of the next, right? So Shami at the time, Shami and Rashid had 24. Shami finished at 28. Rashid finished at 27. What Mohit has done now, I was sorting, by the way, when I was playing around with stats to just look at numbers, I was sorting wicket takers and run scorers by team. And I hit refresh twice because I was looking for the overall purple cap list and I saw the first three names were all Gujarat. I said, oh, I must have filtered to Gujarat. And I had to unfilter and refresh. No, Mohit became the second or tied for the second highest wicket taker. I mean, Varun, have you seen this? 28, 27, 27 wickets, all from the same team. Three guys at the top
and
of the
Mohit
purple
played
cap.
less games.
Mohit played 14 games compared to Rashid's and Shami's 17.
Yeah. So I have not seen something like this before. And this is that debate, right? Where you have pretty much 50% of the Gujarat Titans team contributing to the wins and to their success, which, when you think about it, sounds very high, right? Like 5 to 6 guys contributing consistently is the reason they got there. And then on the flip side, you have a team where everybody has contributed equally when required, and they won the tournament. Now, it came down to the last ball. It could have gone either way, but this is that whole debate, right? What is better? And I think both models work. I think the problem is if you've got only 2 people contributing, like RCB, or you've got 9 people contributing, not enough, right? I think Gujarat and CSK is pretty much how you win a tournament.
I mean, absolutely right. It's two completely different models, but two models that work. These were arguably two of the best teams. Now, you could argue, how do you define best team, right? Like 3 purple cap, top 3 on the purple cap, the number 1 on the orange cap, again, by quite a distance. Maybe Gujarat was a better team on paper, top of the table. The thing for me, the last thing I'll say on this before we talk a little about the celebration and where does MS go from here and all that. But I've always said I feel like a single game final is a little unfair, right? You play an 8-week tournament, you have one game or one significant innings can change and for either team. What I think was super interesting is CSK and Gujarat played each other twice in 5 days, and CSK won both, right? They won the qualifier one, and then Gujarat had to find their way through and beat Bombay and Mumbai, and then lost again. So for me, the fact that CSK beat Gujarat twice in 5 days suggests they were the superior side, or they were at least deserving, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree.
So now let's talk a little bit about what happened after the game, right? Jaddu goes, I mean, all the pictures, all the socials, everywhere. Jadeja hits those winning runs kind of around the ground, does the circle. You've watched it on Insta a few times.
I've seen it about 350 times. only. He takes this big round, runs in between the players, and goes straight to his captain. And the captain, who some people thought was sleeping on like just 10 seconds ago, for the first time has gotten up, pulled Jadeja towards him, lifted him up, held him for a decent amount of time, and you can see the tears are coming down, right? This is the duo that has been with CSK from day one. This is the duo that has just done it time and time again. They understand each other. They had a fight last year. Jaddu stormed out in the middle. He came back. His post after said, "Aapke liye kuch bhi mahi bhai." Like, we'll do anything for you.
Yeah.
And Dhoni just never seen that emotion before. I have never seen him lift anybody.
And there's a lot of comments coming in about, was he sleeping with? Like most other captains, as soon as that ball trickles towards the boundary, they jump, they start pumping their fists, celebrating. It was almost
take off their shirts.
Yeah, it was almost poetic in a way that MS just sat there, right? Like, and took it in until let Jadeja have the moment. It wasn't about MS at that second, in that split second. The whole tournament absolutely was, but in that split second, he's like, listen, it's not like, cameras don't need to be on me. I don't know. You don't think about it in that level of detail. But MS's reaction was he just kind of said, he took it in. It felt like.
I think he's just been taking in this entire season, right?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think
And
he
he
expected
and
it.
he jokes at the press conferences about it. Yeah. I mean, he has been
I
taking.
think it was just a very genuine reaction. I think it was a
Yeah,
reaction that he thought they were going to lose. It turned around, and I think it's very hard to go from that emotion, extreme emotions, if you're not somebody like Virat Kohli.
yeah.
So I think what you saw was just real, and him lifting him and crying. That was the most real you'll ever see MS Dhoni. So it means
I
a lot.
Sorry, no. I think the one other thing I'll say about MS, and there's a lot of jokes, and let's be clear, people who've listened to the show enough know I make fun of MS for walking in late and batting four balls, and the fact that I don't. He's clearly not the batter that he used to be, right? There's a lot of discussion about the duck and the 0 of 1 and all that, and to me, in a weird way, that's a little fitting, right? It shows that listen, you can't. It's not easy to not play cricket a whole year, come back and just be the batter you've been for, gosh, for 15, 17 years, taking India to trophies, to taking CSK to trophies. It's not easy to stay that batter if you're not playing consistent cricket. So him getting out, it's to an extent there's a little bit of poetry to the fact that he was not able to contribute with the bat, but this is his team. You cannot dispute that this is MS's team. The way they come to every game, the way somebody shows up every time, the way Tushar is saying later that even when he went for 56 in the final, MS said your time will come, or like stay focused, right? So even though he didn't contribute with the bat, it is 1,000% his victory. And I think that just, he may not be what he was with the bat, but he is 100% the leader that he has been, that has won all these trophies. And to me, there was something like, I didn't make the runs, but everybody else around me, I empowered them to. And I think that was really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, in 2017, 2018, we were thinking this guy's done. He then won in 2018. In 2021, you could see him on the podium saying, job done.
Yeah.
And then he's come back and won in 2023 against all odds, against a team that has Shivam Dubey, Ajinkya Rahane, Raidu, Tushar Deshpande, Thikshana Pathirana. And I mean, I think his entire bowling unit minus Deepak Chahar probably cost like 1 crore.
I mean, it's unbelievable when you
70
start
lakhs,
reading it.
20 lakhs, 20 lakhs. Like those are the top three bowlers.
It's
It's,
unbelievable when you start reading
yeah.
it on paper. I mean, Pathirana, I saw in the article that he's likely to make his Sri Lanka debut in August. And I said, wait, this guy hasn't even like he's getting one of the overseas slots. Hasn't even played for. Is that correct? Do we know if he's played for his country in any format?
I don't think so.
I mean, that's unbelievable when you start thinking about that, right?
Because he was a net bowler and just picked up last year.
Yeah, it seems like he's played maybe one T20 international.
Got it.
No, yeah, and then a couple of first class games. Like it's incredible when you think what he's accomplished. Varun, we have to get to the second half of the show. I want to ask you a couple other things. So some of the best performances of the season, right? So Shubman, by the way, not to make everything about Virat, but does an 890 run with 3 centuries season by Shubman make you realize just how we
Yeah.
will never see 973 again, right?
I mean, the thing is, we might, but it just shows you the value of that 973. I mean, he's scored almost 1,000 runs in a
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
2016 was just Virat's year, and I think 2023 was Shubman's year. The unfortunate thing is, I think for Virat, is that 2016 is going to be his best year. I think for Shubman, in the next 10 years, you could see
Yeah.
a higher score. So fantastic.
Yeah, and then let's talk about some of the other kind of. So Shami, we mentioned Shami, of course, getting the purple cap, which was my prediction. So excited for that. I think Shubman getting the orange cap was DJ's prediction, so that was cool. Devin Conway, player of the match. Shami won most valuable player of the season. And yeah, anything else you would celebrate or write home about for both these two teams before we take a quick break and come back and talk about the opposite?
I mean, I would say for me, Shivam Dubey is a big win,
Yeah,
and Sai Sudarshan is a big win. Both of these are, because I always think about it from future India perspective,
yeah.
and so yeah, both of these guys were
And as
big,
you
big
as
wins.
you mentioned that, I would say probably Rinku Singh, phenomenal season. I think Tilak Verma had a pretty good season. Who else do we have? We had Akash
Jaiswal,
Madwal. Yeah, of course, Jaiswal. Cannot forget about
Akash Madwal, Jitesh Sharma.
Jitesh Sharma had a good season. So it was exciting for the young Indian talent, honestly.
I mean, if you think about the next T20 lineup, right? You've got like Jaiswal and Gill, then you've got you've got Pandya and Sky somewhere in the middle, but after that you've got like between Jitesh, Rinku, Tilak, Dubey and Sai, you can easily have 2 or 3 positions out of those 5. So yeah.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think it's just super exciting. I think honestly, I've questioned Gill in the T20 format, and I've been put to rest. Like I've said, let him focus on ODIs and Test cricket. He seems like a more of an anchor type of player, but gosh, he has had quite a season. Congratulations to the Chennai Super Kings. Varun, should we take a quick break and come back and talk about the opposite end of the spectrum?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We will be right back, and we're going to talk about what happened for those players who didn't do so well this IPL season. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. Gosh, the IPL has wrapped up. We celebrated the CSK team. Congratulations again to any CSK fans and, of course, that whole franchise. DJ will be enjoying listening to you and I gush about MS Dhoni when he catches up on this episode. Varun, one thing we have done for the last few years for our new listeners is called drumroll. Do you want to explain what it's called?
I could sense you're feeling odd saying it, but
it's a great name.
It's called the Bakwaskar Awards because of the amount of bakwas that a certain individual does. But yes, jokes apart, the Bakwaskar Awards, usually we run through the opposite category, and I can never remember what's the opposite of purple or what's the opposite of orange. But this year we're going to do it a little differently. I think we're just going to pick 11 players who kind of slot into a playing 11. And just call that the Bakwaskar 11, right? These are guys who just did not show up for their team at all.
Yeah, so we're ready to do the Bakwaskar 11. Before we start, can I do an honorable mention to Mangoes? Mangoes feel like they've been kind of the highlight of this year's IPL, haven't they?
Yeah, for sure.
What is happening? Like, why is that? Why was that a thing? Did you see the Mumbai Indians guys post a picture after they beat Lucknow?
I did it with the 3 monkeys type of situation. I don't know what is happening, but all you can say is Naveen and Gambhir are not finding too many fans right now.
Yeah, we're getting some comments in that says best performance of the year goes to Virat, Naveen, and Gambhir. Best moment of the IPL so far. Right, Varun, should we do this? Let's do the Bakwaskar 11, and let's talk a little bit about what happened. And I think we have one honorable mention. So, are you ready? I don't think a lot to be said. Our opening pair, number 1, Prithvi Shaw. Any debate there? I don't think anything to be said, right? Probably
nothing to be said. But I also want to say to all the listeners, we are not listing the Delhi 11, so don't.
I think we do have 3 or something.
Yes, don't confuse this for the Bakwaskar 11 and the Delhi 11. They're close. Don't get me wrong. They're close, but this is not. Prithvi Shaw, man, couldn't even find a bloody place in the Delhi playing 11. Something has gone wrong. He should not be in this situation. Even if he's scoring only 25s and 30s at a good pace, I think any team would have been, lucky to have him and keep him. The fact that Ponting just had enough after, I think, 3 or 4 years and just dropped him for a considerable chunk and brought him back only when there was an injury and the formation wasn't working, where, of course, he hit a 50. But I think Shaw, he's so done, man. He needs to figure out his life out before he can come back.
I mean, if you made 106 runs in the season, out of which one was 54, it's just unbelievable to average 13 and change after making 54. So I don't actually think there's a lot of debate there. Who do we think goes with him? And we have a few top/middle order batsmen. So I'm going to say his opening partner, who had an unfortunate season from a Bakwaskar Award, played more innings than him, so 12 instead of 8, and made even less runs. And that's 84 runs in 12 innings at an average of 7.64. And that is Deepak Hooda.
Oh my God.
I mean, man, I was calling for him to be in the Indian side. And just, what do you even say? Strike rate of 90.
So bad. I mean, he's not that bad. I wonder if it is some clarity of role issue. That's the only thing I can put it down to, because he's a talented guy. Now, he bats at odd positions for India. He bats at odd positions for IPL teams. And he was asked to bat at 3. And it was just a disaster. It was just ugly. Like, every time Deepak Hooda came on screen, I was just like, oh my God, I have to stop watching this right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's unfortunate. I don't think he even bowled. I didn't think he did. He just didn't contribute much. It was very disappointing, because otherwise his team made the playoffs. It was a good side. So Shaw and Hooda are our openers, who I have walking in at 1 down, who was actually, I think, my X Factor pick for his team. And he made a magnificent century in one innings, and then in the remaining 10 innings made a combined 90 runs. And I'm talking about Harry Brook, the rock star British kid who, came into SRH. I mean, he was the third or fourth best overseas batsman, right? Like, he was by far outplayed by Henrik Klassen, by Aiden Markram. Like, just disappointing, right? Amazing century. And by the way, I think bonus points got him into the side because of all the social media and the talk and the way his attitude after getting that century, right?
Yeah, and that's why they say don't show attitude this early in your career. You sucked. You were dropped after a century in conditions that favored the batsman. So he is 100% in my Bakwaskar 11. I think I got a lot of shit for SRH. So I'm very, very happy to put somebody from SRH in this lineup.
10th place, right? 10th.
Yeah.
This season. All right. Yeah, I mean, not a lot else to say about Harry Brook. I think pretty uncontentious so far. Shaw, Huda, and Brook. Our fourth place, I think, would be a little contentious, but maybe just for me. And this is our second of three, I think, Delhi Capitals players. And we're, of course, talking about Manish Pandey. So made 160 run at a strike rate of 109, which is worth talking about. That's pretty.
What is his average?
Average of 17.7. He played 9 innings, made 160.
I mean, comparatively, compared to the rest of Delhi Capitals, average of 7 or 7.5, I think he's done extremely well. I think Manish has a bright future. I think Manish should be, playing IPL for the next 10 years the way he goes. Jokes apart, I cannot believe he's still playing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the person who, and you're going to give me hate for this, a couple of people who should have from a similar average, so I'm calling these honorable mentions for number 4, Ambati Rayudu, 15.8 average. He made 113 runs. Is that right?
And what strike rate?
He made 158 runs at a strike rate of 139, so he had a great final. So obviously he got excluded. Krunal Pandya made 188 runs in 14 innings, including 149 not out, so strike average of 18. But again, strike rate of 113. So he was pretty low on that list as well. And I think that's pretty much it. So those were my couple of alternatives. But yeah, I don't think a lot to be said. Manish Pandey, just unfortunately another poor season. Are you ready for one more Delhi player?
Yeah, I have.
Only played 4 innings. Made, what did he make? 53 runs at an average of 13.25. And I'm talking about Sarfaraz Khan. Varun, this was, I think, maybe, okay, let's be clear, our list is probably a little biased because we think about this team more. But, I mean, all the hype, right? All the hype about Sarfaraz and just couldn't make good.
Yeah, I don't know what happens. Every year we go into the tournament saying he's the top run scorer in the domestic season. And every year he plays only 4 or 5 out of 14 matches and sucks in all of them. I don't get what's the issue. Change something, right? You have to change something. You can't keep coming in year after year into this highly competitive game where 21-year-olds around you are hitting Jofra Archer and all for 6, right? And hitting Rashid Khan for 6 so easily, and be playing at an average of whatever the hell you said he was playing at. It's not possible. It's not acceptable, and it shows you the lack of depth in the Delhi squad. And I would say the unlucky side of the Delhi team, where you've got youngsters like everyone else has, like Shaw and Sarfaraz, but they're making it to the Bakwaskar 11. It's very sad. Mute. You're mute.
Sorry, trying to do too many things at once. I think 100% agree on that. And this is our last Delhi one. So our top 5 has 3 Delhi guys, which is, again, a little bit unfortunate, but happens. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about where we go from here. And this one is a little harsh. So this is my first, what I think, contentious one. At number 6, we have Ben Stokes, right? One of the most expensive buys of the auction. Played 2 matches, made 15 runs. I don't actually remember much about Ben Stokes' tournament.
People like Ben Stokes and Joe Root just had a great India holiday. I see it like a great way to just prepare for this ODI World Cup coming up. You get to spend time there, acclimatize, play on these pitches, but they didn't do anything. So, sure, Ben Stokes would not make it to my Bakwaskar 11, but because I love the guy. But
no, but what
happened?
he wasn't injured, right? He played
No,
2 games. I
I
think
think he wasn't
Bhaji has
fit.
recently said only a team like CSK could bench Ben Stokes.
Yeah, so I think what happened is he did have some sort of a niggle somewhere, and then it got better. And I think Dhoni just decided to stick with Moeen Ali. Maybe because 50% of the games are at Chepauk. Maybe because the batting lineup was already set. Because Moeen Ali didn't do anything either.
Yeah,
But
does Moin make your cut, by the way? 10 innings, 124 runs, so averaging was 17, because of some not outs. But then, more importantly, let's see. I don't think he actually bowled that much at all. He bowled 26 overs in the whole tournament and picked up 9 wickets, right? Like what role was that playing?
yeah, I think it was just a filler role. I don't think he's performed well, but I don't think he's done badly because he has both angles to him, right?
Yeah.
Both sides to him. So 9 wickets and 100+ runs. It's nothing to write home about. But you've got a lot of people on that list who have just one of the two, right? Just 9 wickets or just 150, 130 runs. So I think his impact on the team was very low, but it just feels like there was that one slot where you needed somebody to fill it.
Right. So we have our top 6 determined. Let's call it Stokes / Moin, however we want to come up with it. Let's go to number 7. I don't think this one is going to be contentious at all. We need a wicket keeper in the side. Sarfaraz could technically keep it. We wanted a full-time wicket keeper. Dinesh Karthik. I mean, man, he has now, so this season, 13 innings, 140 runs, average of 11.6, strike rate of 134.6. Eventually made way for Anuj Rawat, who actually had one good knock. And yeah, it's 17. I think the reason I said this is he's now hit a record-setting 17 ducks in IPL history. I mean, he's an icon of the game, no question about it. All the discussions when he was in the commentary box saying, is he going to go back for India, which he did eventually for a little bit, and now, should he have just stayed in the com box? Is that the conclusion?
Yeah, I think so, man. Even in that India-Pakistan T20 World Cup match, like, he got out. Like, imagine in the last over, he's the guy who got out. It's not working. I think he's done. I think he can leave this game very happy that with what he's contributed over 15, 20 years. But yeah, I think he's done. Like Faf said last season, DK helped them finish off a lot of games, which was great. 1 year is a long time, man. Like a lot of things changed. Will DK get a run next time? I don't know. I have a feeling if he does, next year is going to be his last.
Yeah, I mean, well said. I do want to talk a little bit about now. We have 4 bowling slots. Varun, as we tried to shortlist, unfortunately, it's not great team balance, but all 4 of the bowlers are quick bowlers. But we do have some honorable mentions. I have a question to ask you before I get there, though. Andre Russell instead of Ben Stokes? Does that guy make a name? So with the ball, he bowled 9. Yeah, he bowled in 9 innings. Economy rate of 11.3. It was super expensive. And then with the bat, let's see. 7 wickets. So not a ton. With the bat, 14 matches, 227 runs, average of 20, strike rate of 145. So probably not quite Bakwaskar, but pretty close, right?
I mean, that's the thing with Russell, right? I think you keep him in the team because he can have an impact in a big game, and when he does, it's just your game. So even if Russell wins you 2 or 3 games out of 14, he's worth it. I think the numbers look worse than his actual impact. I think the guy who I would question is Sunil Narayan. I think he's taking up a overseas slot. I don't know how many wickets he's got, but I don't see him evolving or growing any further. I think, again, probably a couple of seasons left in him.
11 wickets, economy rate of 7.9. So not great, actually. Yeah. Funnily enough, I'm going to get
called out. And that's what you say. Moeen Ali took 9 wickets.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah. I'm going to get called out for saying this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. No consideration for Shardul Thakur. Didn't really play early on for them. Didn't play every game. One good knock with the bat, made 68. But 113 runs in the total season, average of 14. 7 wickets in the total season, economy rate of 10.5. I mean, he's got to be in the 16 of Bakwaskar, if not in the 11, right?
I think the definition of Bakwaskar is performing below expectation. So I don't think
Shardul can never make it then.
I don't think he performed below expectation. I think he
performed
at par with his expectations.
Look at I love this. I love the framing, right? Because he was in line with expectations. All right, let's talk about our actual four bowlers we have. At number 8, we have number 8 and 9 actually. We have two bowlers coming in for the Mumbai Indians. And that again tells you how bad their bowling was this season and how much the batting bailed them out. But I have Chris Jordan and Jofra Archer. Chris Jordan, 6 innings, 3 wickets, economy rate of 10.77. Just it's ridiculous.
Disaster.
And Jofra Archer, 5 innings, 2 wickets, economy rate of 9.5. I mean, just
I don't know who's worse out of the two.
man, I think to your point about Shardul, I think Jofra's worse because of expectations. Like those of us who watched the IPL for enough time don't actually think that much is going to come from Chris Jordan, but Jofra was
based on my definition. Right?
That's what I'm saying. Jofra's expectations were high, and he ended up. Jordan's expectations were pretty low for me. So, I mean, it's crazy to think you have two guys from the Mumbai Indians, two British bowlers, and just both fell so far short, right?
It was terrible. It was just terrible. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. If anyone listening has a bowler's view on Basra, we'd love to hear it because this is a real toss-up, right, between these two. What are the key metrics, Ashwin? That there's economy rate
and average, and they're both lower is better. And so maybe just if the sum of them is in T20 cricket, I don't know what's a good average.
The statistic. I'm thinking of the name. I'm trying to think of a funny name.
I was thinking of the actual math.
Oh no, I was not even concerned about the math. I was trying to think about
somebody else will come up with
what name makes sense, like Ikasra, economy rate plus.
I mean, that's just one track minded that you came up with Ikasra from Basra. There's no strike rate. I mean, you can do bowling strike rate.
But it is bowling strike rate. Yeah.
Anyway, maybe ace average.
No, see, that's too good. That's not funny.
It has to be bad to be funny.
Coming up with ace. That sounds real and legit.
It's better than Ekazra. I mean, maybe we'll put a poll.
Ek Asra.
What is Asra?
Average strike rate aggregate. Great. Economy rate average strike rate aggregate.
All right, we'll put a poll out on Twitter to see if we can get Ekazra to catch on, but I'm assuming not. Let's hope not. Some of you guys, please support me on this. Right, last two slots, and again, like I mentioned, we have two quick bowlers. At number 10, again, maybe a little contentious, we have Umran Malik. So only got 8 innings, which was part of the challenge, right? Like, why do you not play him more? But picked up 10 wickets, economy rate 9.88, average of 26.7. So I guess that makes his Ikazra like 36, whatever that means now. But yeah, talk about Umran. He was all the rage.
Really caught
on. All right, let's talk about Umran a little bit.
I mean, I think it's not SRH's responsibility to grow and groom this guy, right? From an Indian perspective. But when you have a guy like this, why wouldn't you groom him and make him play in every game when he can be an X factor? Especially because I don't think you're losing because of him. So the more game time he gets, the better he gets. I don't know I think he was one of the retained players, right? Dale Steyn seems to love him, but yes, he didn't perform well. A lot of other bowlers didn't perform well. He's starting his career. He's going to have a few bad years. I just think that this kind of pace is very valuable. Like you can have bowlers bowling at 135, 140, and we will be very harsh on them, right? And harsh is a nice word for our next
number 11.
But we can be harsh on bowlers who bowl at 135, 140. A bowler who bowls at 150, you gotta groom him. Like yeah. So I do think SRH messed up a little bit, and I think he also messed up a little bit.
Yeah, fair. I think that makes sense. And then let's go to it. Our final number 11, and again a little potential contentious. So I think so far Stokes, Harshal, Stokes, Umran, etc. But now I've given it away. Our number 11 is Harshal Patel. So second highest wicket taker for RCB. Played 13 of their 14 games, greatly overshadowed by Mohammad Siraj, of course. But 3 wickets in one game, 14 in the tournament. Economy of 9.65, average of 32.42. I mean, compared to Siraj, average of 19 and economy of 7.5. He was, just fell short, man. Harshal was your pick, actually, I think, for the purple cap, and my pick for the X Factor, because I thought he's going to have a comeback season. So we were both way off the mark there.
Yeah, Purple Patel, that's what we called him, right? That's what the name we heard. But it's just, he didn't bowl well. I think it made me realize that we got to chill a little bit when somebody does well in one season and we put them straight into the Indian team. Like, there are too many of these guys now. Take a break, like chill, right? Like we can't be saying put this guy in the Indian team. He should be playing for an Indian team tomorrow, and like they need time. You need a few seasons. Harshal Patel was absolute rubbish this season,
Yeah.
and it's very sad for RCB because when Harshal does well, Siraj sucked, and when Siraj is doing well, Harshal sucked. So nothing seems to be working for that franchise.
Yeah, I mean there it is, guys. There's our Bakwaskar 11. We'd love to hear your feedback. Send it in on Twitter, on YouTube. Those of you listening on YouTube, put it in the comments. We want to hear. We want to hear about it. But yeah, Varun, tough to wrap up 8-week season, especially the finals and all the emotion that comes with MS and CSK's fifth trophy in a 45-minute episode. I think we did the best we can. We probably missed something, so if we did, I apologize. I'm going to quickly wrap up the fantasy league for this year, and then we can talk about from there we can talk about the World Test Championship, which is just about a week out. So, Edges and Sledges Fan League happened. Varun, I think I definitely outplayed you and DJ. I had a pretty good season, but I finished in 11th place because we have some great listeners who out of 115. So top 10%, I'll take top 10%, but I finished in 11th place after a tough last day. I want to shout out our top three.
I think you had one mistake, man. You used an overseas booster on the wrong pitch.
Yes, 100%.
That was and I was thinking about telling you, but we ended up chatting about 3 minutes before.
Yeah, I ended up picking the booster like 2 or 3 minutes before.
And then I couldn't tell you that don't do it, but anyway.
Hey, I'll take 11th, man. That's pretty good. I don't think I've come this high in a fan league in a while. In third place, was close to the top all through, missed by 220 odd points. It's Kansan. So congratulations, Kansan, for coming third. Second place was Blockbuster Boys, Blockbuster RRR Boys, or however you pronounce that team. And the winner, one of my favorite team names to say, by 140 odd points. I'd be curious to see how this team did in the total national standings. But yeah, I mean, 3x Shubman Gill in the final, got 1,100 points in the second qualifier. Just an outstanding run. Is Kalayo ka behtareen upyog. Great team name, great result.
We've been hearing this name throughout, man.
Yeah, been close to the top all through and had a nice little surge at the end. So whoever you are, make yourself known to us on Twitter. Congratulations. We'd love to make sure you get credit for it. But great season, guys. I have a little bit of a void every morning my time or every night your time now with changing teams. So that's going to happen until the next year's IPL kicks off. But Varun, just as we wrap, World Test Championship final is a week away. Kohli's already out there. You're starting to see clips of him working out, etc. I think we're starting to see Marsh and Renshaw have now been trimmed from the squad. Hazelwood is in for Australia, but
I've always been fit.
Like, what are you doing? It's just it's just crazy. But how do you feel about it, right? Like, we're not great starters overseas. Normally we have a tough first test, and the thing with this format is it's just one.
Yeah, it's not great, man. I'm not feeling great about it because of the history of the last few years, first test. I think you said like IPL should have multiple finals to determine. Debatable, but the World Test Championship definitely should.
100%. Yeah,
you can't have one-off game. I think very quickly, I think there is going to be no debate around probably 8 of the 11 or 9 of the 11. I think you're going to see Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill. You're going to see Pujara, Kohli, and Rahane. You're going to see.
Wait, Rahane at 5 is no debate for you?
Yeah, there's no debate.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, there's no debate for me. I think KS Bharat versus Ishan Kishan is, I think it's 90% Bharat. It's just that when you think about players like Kishan, they have thrived in tests.
Yeah.
So, but you need to plug them in early, right? You can't take them for a one-off final. So I don't think he will play. But I think that is a 10% doubt for me. I think in the bowlers, Jadeja is probably going to bat even higher than Rahane.
Yeah.
So Jadeja is confirmed. Siraj and Shami are confirmed. Okay. And so now it comes down to Ashwin and Shardul Thakur. These are the two. I would say more than 50% chance that both these guys play. Last year, I remember Ashwin was very, I think not ineffective. In fact, I think he only picked up a couple of the wickets. But there was a lot of debate, should Ashwin play, should he not? He played. I think he adds a lot of value and he probably should be there, but I need to see the pitch, right, before I take that call. So that's one factor for me. I actually would play Shardul because I just feel he has a knack of getting the swing and getting wickets. And, you never know. I've not seen such a good straight drive in England as I have of Shardul Thakur.
Yeah, I think he has that. I think he has that little bit of confidence coming into it. And like if your number 8 can bat even 30, 40 runs, it could be game changing for you in a final.
Yeah. So I think the only other question now is Umesh, right? The
Yeah.
workhorse of the Indian team. I don't be surprised if he gets a game. It's just, yeah, I think 9 out of the 11 are pretty much done. I think it's just 1 or 2 spots.
Yeah, I really think the big debate, I think Kishan and Bharat, you said the big debate is 2 spinners versus 1, right? I think do you
Yeah.
play 4 quicks or do you play 3 quicks, knowing that Ash and Jadeja are great at 7 and 8?
Yeah.
And or whatever, Bharat bats. So, Varun, prediction? Really hard to say, but
I mean,
the
it's too
Aussie
hard to
side
say.
looks.
What I'd say is I just hope that this game gets to day 4 or 5 because
Yeah.
that's when Ashwin and Jadeja will come into the picture. So the way I've said that, it kind of shows what my prediction is. I'm not that hopeful, but hey, I just want to see some good cricket too.
I mean, listen, Usman Khwaja, Travis Head, Steve Smith, Labuschagne, Alex Carey, Pat Cummins, Scott Boland, Josh Hazelwood, Nathan Lyon, Mitchell Stark. None of them played the IPL, right? So you're dealing with David Warner and Cameron Green, basically, among the starting 11 who've just been in T20 mode and are fatigued. And India's dealing with 9-10 out of the 11 guys, basically not Pujara. So it's going to be tough. Guys, exciting. Hard to do all of this at once. We didn't want to do a 2-hour episode and cover it all, but that has been the wrap of our IPL 2023 season. We're getting lots of nice comments from you guys on YouTube, Twitter, etc. So keep sending them in. It's always great to hear from you, and we love putting this up. The World Test Championship starts next week. Varun, we might take a break this week, I assume, just given all the coverage that's happened. And by the time we're back next, the World Test Championship will be done, and we will get to talk through the results. This has been the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. We're at One Tip One Hand on all the social medias. You can send us an email, contact@onetiponehand.com, and we will be back after the World Test Championship final to talk a little bit about how that went. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you shortly.